Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. I am Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Jonny Sue is back spitting on those ones and twos. I think Jonny was the most missed person fan while you
really?
were gone. I am so sorry. Yeah, everybody said, blah, 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 blah. We miss. They saw you on Jimmy D, so they were good. But they're like, where the hell is Jonny Sue spinning those ones and twos? He's like the #1 rated DJ out there.
Seriously.
I think right now, I mean, despite anything out there, you got to say that Jonny has got to be the #1 ranked engineer extraordinaire, because it's funny during this quarantine, you see a lot of sports shows, a lot of news shows. They're trying to do what we are doing, and they're so far behind. They're like Convo Couch 2 years ago, right? Like they don't know. They just got generic boxes up there. They don't have like anything up top, and they just have 4 people speaking. They don't cut to this person, cut to that person. They don't bring your article up, which is very boring, mundane, stale, very Diet Coke-ish. But we got Jonny Sue back. And nothing's skipping. Everything's just working beautifully. There it is. Beautifully
here, but not so much in the world of politics, of the earth, of everything. Everything. A lot of people are just lost right now. They're lost. They don't know what to do. They're just demoralized, depressed. I mean, where do we go from here? Our government keeps screwing us over and over and over and over again, and we get pushed to the brim. And now we see reopening. And what does reopening mean?
Yes.
Reopening means that the working class goes back to work so that the upper class can go and do their leisurely luxury activities. That's what it means.
Yeah.
That they get to risk their lives, and so the government doesn't continue having to pay them.
Exactly.
I mean, this is what it's
and
about.
Pay us too. They don't want us to stay at home. Like, how long are we to keep people at home and let them stay there? Once this money runs out from the unemployment and the extra $1,200, once that's gone, they don't want to pay us again, because the rich people, you don't want to devalue their currency by printing up or digitally making. I'm so sorry if Michael Cruz is there. Digitally making more, finances out there, more money. And that's what they're doing, just trillions and trillions of dollars. So it's so funny when we have all this homeless people on the streets, we can't have money for them. Who's going to pay for it? Well, who's paying for this right now? And at the end of the day, they just show you how much they care about the everyday average person. You look at the Congress, the way they're doing all these bills we're going to get to, fam, and you got a lot to speak on that. Yeah. And you look at the way they're just treating us during the stimulus. It's disgusting. There are people out there, small businesses, who have written their last check, have not gotten any help, any word of help. What are they going to do moving forward, fam? What are they going to do? What are we going to do moving forward? And like I said, when we go back to normal, it's not the normal. It's a new normal.
Exactly.
Restaurants are going to be different, and it's going to create some good stuff. There's some creative people out there who are creating some social distancing type of restaurants that have land, and they're kind of working off that, and they're changing to it. But for the most part, fam, it's going to be a slow process getting back to what we call normal.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, it's for me, my prognosis is a lot worse. It's a lot more pessimistic. I mean, I think we're going to get really, really bad. This is not just the United States. This is a global economy, and what we're going to be seeing, and what we're seeing already, is unemployment rates at 14.7%. They are going to even probably surpass Great Depression levels, and you're going to see the juxtaposition with the market doing really well, because they put so much money
into it.
But you can't function without consumers. Yeah. And when people can't consume, you're shit out of luck. Without that middle class there, with the working class and middle class both affected directly by the small business issues that we've seen, you're going to have a complete economic collapse. And so I don't think there's ever going to be a normal. Like Pasta said, I think there's going to be a new normal. I think we're going to see a lot of depression level economic issues.
And when you pump all that money into the stock market, all those big corporations that they gave trillions of dollars out. Remember, the CARES Act was like the third act. They'd already given trillions to the big corporations up top. That filters down into the stock market. But really, who has money in the stock market? The older generation. The people who have money. I think it's like 80% of Americans don't even have money stock market. So the workers, us, we don't have money I don't have any money in the stock market.
Yep.
I think my mom's got something off to the side for me for one day, but for the most part, we're not playing money in the market. We don't have extra money for the market. We got to figure about food, rent, clothing. You think we have extra monies to go invest right now? So it really just shows you everything you need to know about the way the government looks at you, the way the elites look at you, what our Congress is all about, man. We need a new Congress, fam. And before we get started, I just want to say Gamer for Life. And also, I know Carrie Mark and I know Holly got their shirts. They said, thank you so much. Tony watches closely, and Gamer for Life, your stuff is in the mail, but it's really hard sending something to Gamer for Life. I wonder what the mailman's going to say. Who the frig is Gamer for Life? But it's in the mail. It's going to be on the way, and I'll be happy to see you get your beautiful shirts. And remember, these new shirts that we've been sending out, they're very specific. In other words, we don't make two of the same that often. So we're taking like different style shirts, different prints, sending them on out. I think I sent Carrie Mark a good, like a nice, what's the color? I would call it terracotta color.
Terracotta.
More like maroonish.
Oh, okay.
I guess. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
Fam, before I make any more fool of myself, let's get started here. Topic number 1. What's going on? Welcome back, fam. We need your raging and your craziness. By the way, great performance on Jimmy Dore. That was pretty awesome. Yeah.
I hate the word performance because
but your level of energy was up.
Well, just because
you were up.
Well, I was angry and I hadn't been. Normally I get to talk all the time every day here with you, but since I was away, I didn't get a chance to do that. So poor Jimmy had to hear my rant, and like I feel bad. I barely let him talk. But that wasn't intentional. That was just like me talking about something that I was obviously very like passionate about. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because Jimmy Dore always gets to talk a lot. So people were like, wow, well, you didn't even give Jimmy a chance to talk.
No, well, a lot of people texted me like, Pasta, I think Fiorella should realize how talented you are, that you understand to let her speak and when to come in. I said, yes. But that's the thing. God. We've had the chemistry working together, and it's been awesome. And Jimmy, he was kind of like, but I'm like, Jimmy, shh, be quiet. Fiorella's on what we call a fee rant. You can't start until the fee rant is over. But really quickly, just so we just throw it out there, are we going to talk about it later in this segment? But a lot of people have said, and we'll get to that too. There's a lot of stuff. We were not even getting to Obamagate today. And that's some really good stuff going on. It's juicy stuff because that includes our good friend Adam Schiff for Brains, who should be fucking fired because he was a nefarious piece of shit who got caught. But why? We'll talk about later why it's important.
We'll talk about it later, yeah.
Let's start talking about your favorite bill out there, fam. Topic number 1. Go right ahead.
So I just want to mention, as many of you have heard, the breaking news, new bill HR 6697 is a for-profit Trojan horse to fund lobbyists. And I'm just going to summarize it before Pasta goes into the tweet. Because this newly proposed bill sounds like an honest, helpful bill, but like always, it's a handout to corporate lobbyists. And HR 6697 is basically expanded the PPP to trade groups with fewer than 300 employees. So then this subsequently includes lobbyists. And this is called the Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP. And it was meant for small businesses who suffered during the pandemic of COVID-19.
Talking a lot about it.
But of course, this bill would expand it to include what it was previously excluded, which is the 501(c) nonprofit organizations, which includes the lobbyists.
Yes, and that is very important because you've talked about, I think on the show, about a 501(c) and what they are. They don't have any rights to this money, and it's so disgusting to see, fam. Didn't enough people in the small business loan the first time out the CARES Act get enough of that money? The big businesses, like the Shake Shacks, the LA fucking Lakers, Harvard, Columbia. Sorry for cursing, Mom, but I'm so pissed off. All these people already got their grubby hands on it. Some people were forced to give it back. Some people did not give it back. I believe there was like a big hotel chain who did not give that money back. There were people saying, we're not giving it back. Mm-hmm. So they took it out of the hive of the small business loan, which is meant for your mom and pop stores, your pizza guy, your barber, right? They're just opening up barbershops and nail shops now. They've been suffering the longest. And yet, here comes another provision, another amendment to the bill where they're going to allow people who come in who don't have any right, they're not a small business, to come in there and grab this money, fam, once again.
Exactly.
So, did you want to read this one little part right over here?
Yeah, so...
the highlighted part, Johnny, on the which you just had up. I'm sorry, behind it.
So, like the businesses they serve, many local chambers, tourism-related organizations, and other 501c6 nonprofits are now experiencing their own financial challenges brought on by COVID-19. These organizations are not currently eligible for the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, to get financial support. The local chamber tourism and 501c6 Protection Act would expand PPP eligibility to include 501c6 organizations with 300 or fewer employees to ensure that they can continue supporting our Main Street businesses and local economies. So again, these are lobbyists. These are not small businesses. They're lobbyist organizations. And because there is no jurisdiction there that indicates, oh yes, these people are excluded,
yep,
they would be eligible for that money. And these lobbyist groups are the same ones that just got tons and tons of money for Main Street, Wall Street, whatever you want to call it. And so this is just like a Trojan horse, like I said, to sneak in some money for these lobbyists, and not just some money, to fund vast amounts of money into these already elites. And because they have less than 300 employees, then they qualify.
Yeah. And let's any small business that's waiting on your cash that you haven't got to contact the CONVO couch, because we're going to see they're going to create avenues for lobbyists. And Johnny just put it up. America's health insurance plans, which represents health insurers, disclosed $62 million in revenue and 158 employees in their 2018 tax return. That's not a small fucking business. That's not a small business. If you're making $62 million in one friggin' year, that's not a small business. So if you're a small business, and there's a lot of them out there, they don't even know what's going on. And fam, like I told you last time we brought it, I did a little video while you were gone. There's a whole new tactic which they're using. Chase, Wells Fargo, the newest people, the new bill that came out after the CARES Act, after they saw they screwed up the first PPP, small businesses weren't getting their money. They allotted more money to go out. Well, now Chase and Wells Fargo's were using Gestapo tactics. They were threatening people with jail time if they filled out the application wrong. They said, so there they are now. They're scaring small businesses as compared to a big business, a big corporation, where it's one piece of paper, you need the money, sign it, and go on, whatnot. It just shows you the way they treat us to the way they treat them. It's a big club, and you ain't in it, fam.
And I just want to point out really quick that they have gotten money from campaigns who have been fighting against the Affordable Care Act, and obviously that which helped convince Democrats not to include the public health option. They have been getting money from a lot of problematic groups, lobbyist groups in Congress. So this isn't just talk of what is likely happening. These companies, these lobbyists, have been getting money from these same institutions that are destroying our ability to have Medicare for all, from oil lobbyists, from all of these people that stand against the things that progressives supposedly want, which is a Green New Deal, etc.
Yep. And AHIP, America's Health Insurance Plan, was the group that lobbied in 2008 and 2009 to make sure, and this is when Dennis Kucinich, remember, he went crazy. He says, no, I am not going through with anything. We need the public option. To him, the most important thing, and Dennis, like I said, Dennis is like the gold standards when it comes to healthcare. He knows shit. He was really pissed off. He was fighting with Obama. He wanted the public option. Well, they didn't get the public option, fam. And that's what really made the ACA mashad, made it nothing, and had no legs. It just helped the insurance companies. And AHIP is the group that lobbied against it. Your boy, Russ Cicerone from New Jersey, our boy, friend of the show, he even put down, do we have a list of the co-sponsors and everything else? So I think we should bring that up. Maybe, John, take a look at some of these co-sponsors.
Where is that at?
I have a link right here to the bill. And once we get into it, you'll see the co-sponsors. It's ridiculous. I'm going to pull it up right now. Co-sponsors. So let's take a look at this list, fam. Some people I know. Cisneros, right around the corner, and Orange County's on the list. Who else is really noticeable over there? Boom, 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 boom. Jim Costa, another donkey.
Oh, God.
Down below is where it gets really juicy, I believe. There's a couple people. Harley Rauda, our friend.
Oh, supported by many Democratic, indivisible, and progressive organizations. Yeah.
Here's where it gets sad. Barbara Lee on that. Once again, Barbara Lee is all over the place. She can do some great stuff, make a stance on certain things. And then the other end, she kind of just caves. And there was one other name I wanted to mention in here. I think Tony Cardenas was on this list too, if I'm not sure. There he is. Tony Cardenas.
Yep.
Right there. He's on the list. Tony Cardenas is running against Angelica Duenas right around the corner. She's an ex-Green. Angelica Duenas is one of the best candidates out there. She's really so open-minded. She was a Green for a while. She's now running as a Democrat. But you could talk to this lady about everything. She understands foreign policy. She understands domestic policy. Very well-rounded candidate. Very well-rounded. And she's even talking about Tony Cardenas. Once again, he's always had all these houses. He's had these handouts. The guy he's got a pension for his city council seat. So he gets like an extra $5,000 a month from the taxpayers. He somehow clears like close to $15,000 to $20,000 a month is what Angelica told me.
How do you, as a city council member, clear that much money? Well, the only way is if, of course, you're funded by these big lobbyists and these big PACs. That's exactly how it is. There's no other way. I think a normal city council person would make like, it's a part-time job. It's not even considered a full-time job. Maybe like 30,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
You don't make a lot unless, of course, you're like Tony Cardenas.
Yeah. Poopy Cake says, you guys are awesome. Thank you for that Super Chat contribution, Poopy Cakes. We've been waiting for those beautiful words. And thank you for all those people who leave those Super Chat contributions and our 95 Patreons. You guys are awesome. There's Angelica Duenas. Johnny, you want to say anything about this before we get on to that next subject? Or you want
that Angelica Duenas was out there for the No War with Iran protest.
Yep.
And she was like the only person.
She was the only one.
Other than Rodolfo.
Come on, your boy there. Rodolfo was there. Yeah, Rodolfo said so many stuff. Rodolfo was one of those candidates that he said so many stuff. He just watch this Democratic Party. The reason why he refused to not leave that green and not run as anything else is because he knows the Democratic Party is awful. Angelica and Rodolfo were the only two candidates that we saw, or any two politicians that we saw that were there.
Yep.
So,
100%.
The next one, fam.
So this one
I
has
can't
an
say these numbers.
name.
I'm Catholic.
Okay,
Padre Figaro Spirito Santos.
I'm a exited Catholic, so I can say it for you. HR 6666. Pasta.
Yes.
Tell me about what HR 6666 does. I love that.
Well, it's a controversial bill. We've had some friends going crazy about it. It had some controversial co-sponsors on it too, including my friend Tulsi Gabbard. But this bill, and I think it's best to explain it to you. It's when I talk about the civil liberties all the time, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, God, you and your civil liberties. But these are the times when they're really under attack. More than likely, people the government will put actions into play. They'll pass bills for a crisis, and then they won't undo them when the crisis is over.
Right.
666 is one of those situations. Now, I think it's best explained, and it is one of those situations. If you believe the coronavirus is deadly, if you believe that it could spread like wildfire and you want to really contain it, you might be for this bill. Rashida Tlaib is on this bill as a co-sponsor. Tulsi Gabbard's on this bill for a co-sponsor. However, having the ability to separate your family when something like this is kind of, that's the thing. They're using it as a wedge to say, hey, the government can come in, take Johnny out of the household because we believe he has coronavirus, and take him away, and you guys can't see him, and that's it. So we have to be careful, and we have to tiptoe. I mean, Tim Ryan's on this bill. Rashida Tlaib is on this bill. Tulsi Gabbard. Debbie Wasserman Schultz is on this bill. That's the thing that really, I would like the Congresswoman to say, hey, you know what? I'm signing a bill where Debbie Wasserman Schultz is a co-sponsor. Maybe I shouldn't be on that fucking bill. Your friend Harley Rauda again as well.
We can give her the opportunity to explain why.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, Tulsi is one of those people. Remember when it was the coronavirus stuff she was saying in her town halls? Even I was like, come on, man. I don't want to hear. But she is very concerned about pandemics and that we should be prepared.
Yeah.
And this could be like, what's the word I'm looking for? When something's gone wrong and you're kind of just trying to mop it up. What do they call it in the business world? Something control.
Damage control.
Damage control of sorts.
Yeah.
Where they're saying we have to really nip this in the butt. We've let it gone too far. We didn't have the testing. We didn't have all the machines. We didn't have everything to stop this in its track. And I'm not going to blame just Donald Trump. This is talking about our administration from years to come. They're so easy and so helpful to help out businesses, but yet they're not going to be prepared for the little people down below when a pandemic comes, fam, that we can't get tested. And the testing we have right now sucks as is from everything we're saying.
It doesn't,
Do you want to go over a little bit of Batar's video? And
yeah,
he says he'd get in a minute into it because I think he has a lot of jibber jab, and
I got you.
I don't know what to think about this here. You guys have to give me your opinion.
Perfect. So everybody can hear me. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys got to let everybody know this message that I'm about to give you, because this is something that I just found out. It's beyond belief. This is regarding a House resolution that was initiated on May 1st of this year, like 4, 5, 6 days. Well, I don't even know what day it is right now, but it was May 1st introduced into the U.S. Congress. It's a House Resolution 6666. That is not an exaggeration. I have no idea how this works, but this is what the actual House Resolution number is, 6666. And I'm going to read you what that House Resolution is. Please make sure that you pass this on to every single person that you know. I don't care whether you're in the United States or not, you got to get this information out. House Rule 66 or House Resolution 6666 is for COVID-19 testing Reaching, and Contacting Everyone Act. The acronym is TRACE Act. Again, TRACE Act stands for Testing, Reaching, and Contacting Everyone. It was introduced by Bobby Rush, who is a Democrat from the state of Illinois. And they have introduced this bill into the House, and they're going to roll this out from a testing standpoint in Ventura County, California, which happens to be where I'm at right now. And I couldn't believe that I heard this, but basically this act is to allow individuals to come into your house, and if you've got a cough, or somebody in your family has a cough, or you have a fever, or anything that they determine that shows that you have COVID-19, regardless of if you've been tested or not. They will also test people, but remember that testing already has been shown to be there to be a high rate of false positives. False positives meaning you don't have COVID-19, but the test shows it's false positive. It's showing up as positive, so they call it a false positive. We already know from the studies previously done as far back as 1984, but as recently as 2018, that individuals that did not have COVID-19 or coronavirus, even in the cat model, cats that had never been exposed to coronavirus, tested positive if they had had a flu shot, if they had the trivalent or the covalent flu shot. And we don't know about the H1N1 shot. We don't know about the herpes zoster shot, the shingle shot. There's many other vaccines that people have gotten. We have no idea if people are going to be testing positive, have false positives based upon those tests. So the point is that the chance of them testing someone and them being positive is pretty doggone high, even if the person doesn't have COVID-19. But they're going to use that to pull you or your loved ones, especially your children, away under pretense of public safety. They're going to say that your child has to be removed from you because you have COVID-19, and so to protect your child, we're going to take that child, or we're going to take your grandmother or your father or you and put you into quarantine. This is a load of rubbish, because if you're in your home isolated, who are you going to expose? All right? And if they're going to try to take you away from your family, the chances of you having infected your family, even if you did really have COVID-19, is about 99.9%. So this is a bunch of BS. They're using this as an attempt to further divide us as individuals. They divided us from our friends, from our social circles. Now they're dividing us from our own family units. This is the most ominous sign so far that we've seen. I want you to all wake up. I want you to pass this information on. I want you to tell every single person that you know what's happening. If you're not in the United States, I don't care. It's coming to your country as well. And if you're in the United States, you need to contact your representatives. Right now, if you go to askdrbuttar.com/ask, right underneath my image, you'll see that link. Go to that website, follow the information that it's asking, enter that information in, and then you're going to be taken to a page. The first
Wow. So I have a question.
Go ahead. Not for me or for
how is this in general? Like, how are they? I don't understand what's the end game here. If they can just go in your house and take like is this person suggesting take your children from you because of COVID?
Well, we just got to read the bill. That's the thing. So I mean, Roguski sent us this. He sent this to me individually as well, and I read I saw the video, and then I went to the actual text. If you look at it, it's kind of vague. It's kind of very ambiguous. It says to authorize the Secretary of Health and Human Services to award grants to eligible entities to conduct diagnostic testing for COVID-19 and related activities such as contact tracing through mobile health units, and as necessary at individuals' residences and for other purposes. So
it's vague enough to allow anything to happen.
It's so vague, but the whole process, Johnny, what they're saying is like, all right, listen, as a government inside like the deep state or whatever, we know that Fiorella is really becoming an agitator, whatnot. We got to break them up, whatever, like that. So we're gonna just show up their house with a trailer in a hazmat outfit, come in. Oh, Fiorella, you have signs. Take her away. Boom. We can't. We got to separate under the disguise of we're protecting public safety.
Right.
We're controlling the pandemic. They've tried to find a way to wedge themselves where they can go, and it says into a personal residence. You know what I'm saying? So that's I think the fear of a lot of people going, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, even when I talked to somebody about it today who was running for office, she even said, I don't know about that one. It's a really, really weird one. And, she understands the civil liberties part, but she also understands the pandemic part, like a global pandemic. Well, what do we do is the case. But once again, kind of operate under this hiding.
But here's the thing. If they were really interested in actually protecting the safety of all Americans, they would make tests readily available to every single American, not only a test showing that you have COVID, but the antibodies test that would be able to let you know that you've had it, but you're not, you're asymptomatic. So maybe put those people back to work or find ways of getting the economy restarted back up. But they're obviously not concerned with that because they need to make money off of vaccines. And of course, we're going to continue talking about the many things that are out there right now. But that it just seems disingenuous to me that this is about public safety. Many times, as Pasta has mentioned before, during a crisis, the left and the right unite, or the center, I should say, the Democrats and Republicans unite in order to pass fascist type of legislation that impedes upon people's civil liberties, like the Patriot Act, for one. And there's, of course, like the vast amounts of cyber spying and all of these things that have been happening under the guise of public safety. And it is just so, it's the same thing that you recognize it because they make the legislation so vague that maybe technically they might not necessarily go in and take your kid from you, but they could because it's that vague, and they could go ahead and do it. And this, of course, rightly sparks fear into Americans, justifyingly so, because I mean, like, it's your civil liberties are completely gone now between the Patriot Act and between this. And I don't know how many conspiracy theorists are out there looking at the number and saying, God, this is another sign of the end of times. And it's 2020 and everything has been a disaster. So why not bring it on? But like, it's just, it doesn't ring honest in saying that this is to protect Americans. And it's interesting to me how the liberals are so quick to point out that the right are fascist this and fascist that. This is fascism, and it got a lot of Democratic support. This is fascism to me. I don't think the pandemic I don't think the situation is like zombie apocalypse level to literally go into someone's home and test them in that way. The only mission of this whole thing is to really infringe on people's rights and to possibly mark individuals, because we've seen the war against progressives that this whole election cycle has shown. I think they're going further and further and further to quell any sort of resistance to Cold War imperialism, as well as, of course, the class war that we're seeing right now. I think this is much bigger than what it seems at first.
It's like I said, fam. It's usually when these things they introduce these bills and they implement these laws during serious crises. They implemented the Patriot Act right after what? 9/11. And it was all about we have to find and root out terrorism. So we need the ability to skip the warrant process, right? Which even when they didn't skip the warrant process, our government has showed they're going to be shady as hell. All of the whatchamacallit, the FISA court, please forget about it. But they'll implement this stuff in a time of crisis, but they'll never pull it away. And what did Snowden show us with the Patriot Act? That they were spying on us 3 to 4 times as much as they were spying on Russia and China. So they weren't using that, to do what they were supposed to do. And more than likely, when it comes to a situation like this, they'll just use it as a divide mechanism so they can maintain their control. Any type of rubbing or people out there making noise that can catch on fire, we've experienced this so much of being a young, progressive kind of channel coming up, speaking the words that the mainstream media doesn't want us to speak. Well, that's a form of suppression. They'll start blacklisting us. They change the algorithm because of shows like us to make sure that we wouldn't grow at a faster pace to slow us down at the very least. Well, you can only think with a law like 66666, they're going to use it to their advantage to separate people even within their own household now if they want to. They shouldn't have a bill like that is that vague. And I understand the people who really want to take it serious, like the Rashida Tlaibs and the Tulsi Gabbards, but you got to look at what you're signing on for.
It's a slippery slope,
It's too slippery of a slope.
I completely disagree with that.
Let's take a look. I mean, like, I have, like, questions. It'd be like, okay, well, first of all, the number is 66666 is weird.
Illuminati sort of
the
shit.
symbolism, John.
Where's Alex Jones?
The acronym is really weird.
Trace.
There is one version of the bill.
I was going to say trace. The word trace is really weird. Okay. So then, mobile health units. What defines a mobile health unit?
Right.
Answer that question.
I'm picturing
a military tank.
Right. I'm picturing most innocently like a blood donation kind of truck, but most like ominously it would be like a military tank.
Yeah. These are questions I would want to ask someone who co-sponsored this, right?
Yeah.
And as necessary, what is the stipulations for as necessary testing individuals and providing individuals with services relating to testing and quarantine at their residences? Let's see. A grant recipient under the section may use the grant funds in support of the activities described. So basically, they're trying to give money to the Secretary of the Health Department to give to other departments in the government that are newly formed, or maybe even private companies, or maybe
consulting
companies, whatever. So, in selecting grant recipients, priority to applicants proposing to conduct activities funded under this section in hotspots in medically underserved communities. What defines a hotspot? I guess where the map
more
shows
infected.
More infected. Yeah. Applicants that agree in hiring individuals to carry activities to hire residents of the area or community where the activities will primarily occur.
But those hotspots tend to be, guess where? In working class minority communities. We've seen the differences in, for instance, in the number of cases regarding COVID with the Black community in places like Michigan. And we have seen that the COVID affects working class communities at a much larger rate. Why? Because they don't have the same protections as the other upper classes. So to me, this is actually directly going to affect poor working class people of color. The majority, poor working class people in general, but I mean, by default, a lot of those people are going to be minorities.
Yeah. Hey, listen, they might get into a lot of
so you can
places
get into the
in
immigration
South
issue
and shit.
too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing
That's
too. It's
the
like,
other thing.
oh, we're testing people. Oh, he's an illegal immigrant.
Exactly.
Let's get him rid of there. You know what I'm saying? And anybody like too, for like you're talking about, like, you know, no offense to the shit kickers in the South, they'll go in there to get their guns.
Yeah.
They're going to try to disarm them.
Well, now,
you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the thing, like, you know, most of the time, and we're going to talk about that today, stupid people shouldn't own guns. But right now, with everything going on, a lot of people are saying, I hope these stupid people with their guns are going to go out and start clearing the pattern to fight the government that's really trying to take us over, that we can follow in behind them. So there's like this slippery slope of sorts
but
going
also
on.
like you mentioned that, but it's like I've been seeing a lot on the left, people who are socialists be like, oh, I'm socialist, but I'm pro-gun because I don't trust the government. And here, that's the thing. Can I fault them for saying that when they're passing legislation like this?
Yeah.
No, because the whole point of the Second Amendment was the right to bear arms. Mainly it was supposed to be against the government. You could say it was taken advantage of by a lot of the white supremacy against the slaves, and then to prevent a possible uprising of slaves, which also is part of our history. But like, you always have to go back to that, oh, this is why people, a lot of libertarians and a lot of people who may be leftists on a lot of other issues when it comes to gun rights, they are pro-gun rights. And of course, you have the military industrial complex and the police so heavily armed. I'm not for disarming the working class people unless you're going to disarm the police and the military in the same way. That's what we have to talk about more versus like, oh, yes, I'm for guns or I'm not. You have to talk about what instances should people have guns. Like, if you're going to keep the police so heavily armed and they're going to be shooting people all the time, then you need to, give the working class their guns, because I don't trust those people to be having all the power when they already have so much power over us anyway.
Yeah, I remember most of your police departments across this country got all the leftover stuff in Iraq that they pulled out of Iraq and brought over. They gave them to the police department. You know, you're talking military equipment over here for the police departments to use. And even me, I'm one of those people, fam. And that's something on the left that I think some people have to loosen up to. I understand they see a mass shooting, they immediately want to get rid of all the guns and stuff like that. But even myself, I'm worried. I said I want to possibly buy a piece. Remember, I was talking to Wesley about it, who, you know, shoots gun, and he goes, "Why? You want to get a piece because of your neighborhood?" I'm like, "No, I'm scared about the CIA coming in to try to get my ass, so I want a piece." But I mean, honest to God, that's how I feel. And I've shot in a gun maybe twice in my life, at a range and in the military. I'm not a gun guy. I don't want to own a gun. But now, even nowadays, I am so scared of what the government is doing on a regular basis. It's like, man, I need something to feel a little bit more secure. I understand. Yeah, I understand why all these people who have and that's the thing that we should talk about, fam. There are a lot of people who shouldn't own guns. We understand that. But the majority of American citizens who own guns are responsible gun-owning people that just want it for their own protection. Not so much protection from just people, you know, from the government, but people around them. You know what I'm saying? Because when resources get scarce, people start stealing stuff. That's a whole other thing. So
by passing legislation like this, you are promoting and just empowering a sentiment of fear. Because people are going to say, oh, well, I can't trust the government. We're in the middle of a pandemic. I need to get guns. This is why we have seen a spike in the sale of guns. We have seen long lines in places that sell guns, in gun shops, because people are scared, and fear. What fear does is give you this like need to like protect yourself. And unfortunately, that's also going to cause more rifts between racial relations. And it has the poor fighting against each other. That could be a result of this, is the poor fighting against each other, not realizing that still our enemy are these fascists that are passing this type of legislation.
And they are fascist.
And
Johnny.
So, yeah, we're going to get to that later as well. So we're just going to continue reading. Applicants that agree in hiring under this section to hire residents of the area community, it said that, and selecting the grant recipients under this section, the secretary shall ensure that grants are distributed across urban and rural areas, which is interesting. Nothing in this section shall be construed to supersede any federal privacy or confidentiality requirement, including the I'm not sure what this part means. Definitions in this section. The term eligible entity means a federally qualified health center. We have to look into what that means. A school-based health clinic. This is proportionate share hospital, an academic medical center, a nonprofit organization, an institution of higher education, a high school, any other type of entity, and then they have all those, and then they have any other type of entity that is determined by the secretary to be an eligible entity for purposes of the section. So that's where private companies go in, consultants and everything.
Sorry for yelling loud. Yep.
The term emergency period has the meaning given to the term term hotspot. Oh, okay, it means a geographic area. Yep. Term medically underserved community has been meaning to give term.
Look at that number 2, John, though. Read that. How long, once again, the Patriot Act was installed because of an emergency. We had 9/11. We had to root out evil terrorists. We had to go online. We had to break down the barrier of the whole process of getting a warrant, of tracing and everything, because we had to protect ourselves. Well, guess what? The Patriot Act has been renewed. It's still on to this day. So how long will the emergency period be for them to come on in? You know, COVID could be long gone. They walk in the house. Oh, you got COVID. We're bringing her. We got to get it. We got to get Fiorella Isabel on ice somehow. So let's use the cover of the, you know what I'm saying? But that's just one incident, and that's what they can do. They can actually, but Dr. Buttar was right. This is something that's very seriously concerning, especially for those civil liberties people out there, which nowadays I think this is the time when we tell those neo-progressives, fam, they got to listen to us when it comes to the civil liberties. It's just as important as everything they want to take place, because these are the ways they destroy the bills we want. This is the way they implement their authoritarian fascist government. They control our speech. They split us up. They do what they need to do. And if they have the keys to the kingdom to play whatever they want to play with, we'll never achieve progressive gains that we need, you know? So, John, anything else before we get to the next one?
The last thing is that, they define their terms, and then authorization of appropriations. To carry out the section, they are authorized to be appropriated $100 billion for fiscal year 2020.
Of your money, baby.
And such sums as may be necessary for each of fiscal year 2021 and any subsequent fiscal year during which the emergency period continues.
They can basically because it's so vague, they can write in whatever they need to just say, okay, this is going to last longer. We're going to add this much money, because it's up for determination by these people. So
Johnny, anything else before we get to another violation of our civil liberties?
$100 billion. Look how many zeros that is. Okay. No, go ahead.
100 billion. What was it? I got to do it like this. Ooh, $100 billion. That was Dr. Evil when they laughed back in the days. Did I miss any super chats? Yes, we got some super chats. Let me get to a few of them, guys. We've missed your super chats.
Yes.
That's the thing. They say, what have you missed most? Mama's cooking, Fiorella's energy, Johnny's cutting on the ones and twos. I said, no, I missed my super chats because we've been gone. So thank you so much for you people who do send us these super chats. We really do appreciate it. Rachel, TKO, which stands for Technical Knockout. Thank you for the super chat contribution, as it is always appreciated on the couch.
I feel like you've missed that.
I've missed that so much. That's why I miss it. It's not the money. It's the chance to say that. I trust Tulsi to act with integrity, but boy, has she been dead wrong about most of the COVID stuff. Well, let me say this much, Rachel TKO. She was right about it coming. She was right about us not being prepared. She was right when nobody was right. She was the only one right. In fact, I was talking to Johnny about this last week. It's like, remember when she started talking about the COVID? I'd be like, oh, I don't want to hear about this.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to hear about it as a human being. And this was back in November. She was talking about this stuff like, hey, man, This is real. It's coming to a theater near you. In Korea, you can pull up like a drive-through, take a test, find out if you got it, and drive away. Why aren't we at this level right now? We don't have the masks, we don't have the gloves, we don't have the machines, we don't have the respirators.
She was right about the lack of preparation, but in handling it, I disagree with her as far as, because she even wanted to have a national, more of like of a lockdown type of situation. And again, it's like, well, I get it, but it's also a slippery slope. Other countries in South America, for instance, are doing it, and that works for them. But I think in America it would honestly cause like an upheaval, because people are so not distrusting of the government, and this is why they're distrusting of the government.
Yeah. Glory Jones, thank you for the super chat. It's always appreciated on a couch. Says trusting a bill called 6666 Trace is like trusting an app called Shadow for a caucus, or trusting a channel called The Young Turks for good foreign policy.
Glory Jones, you are so
analysis.
savage.
She sent a picture of her shirt on. You know who we got to get a shirt to, by the way? Those other two. Allison Irwin, I got your size in. You need a shirt. I got a good one for you. And that girl, hi you guys. That girl, what's up?
What's up,
How you doing, that girl? Wink, wink. Thank you. It's glad to have you back on the show. We love all you people. Thank you for the super chat contribution. You guys, you don't understand how much it means to the crew over here. We love you for doing this. Thank you so much.
You keep us going.
I didn't get notified, and I have the bell on. Well, you know what? That girl, that happens to a lot of people.
Yes.
Okay, that's what talking about, the Patriot Act, suppression, online. We're going to talk some more. I'm so happy I caught you guys live. I bought a book about conspiracies. You know who has one of the best conspiracy books out there? Jesse Ventura. And it wasn't conspiracy. He was like 68 documents that the government doesn't want you to see. So he brings the proof of the CIA, the FBI, the government documents that just shows you how sneaky and how lying to the public they've always been. It's not something new, fam. It's been going on for a while.
Yes.
So let's talk about our favorite guy, Lindsey Graham, and he has sponsored a bill called the Earns Act. Now, I put up this article right away. This is an article that was read by the Action for Assange guys about a month ago, and I've been looking into this, so I want to kind of go over this again. And it says right here, we've explained how the Earn Act could be used to drastically undermine encryption. Although the bill doesn't use the word encryption in its text, it gives the government officials like General William Barr, oh my God, I don't want him to have any power, the power to compel online service providers to break up encryption or exposed to potentially crushing legal liability. The bill also violates the Constitution's protections for free speech and privacy, as the Congress considers the Earn It Act, which would require, which would require online platforms to comply with to-be-determined best practices in order to preserve certain protections from criminal and civil liability for user-generated content under Section 230. It's important to highlight the bill's First and Fourth Amendment problems. So, fam, what they're trying to do is like everything, they're trying to say we have to introduce a bill that's going to protect online child pornography, that we have to have the rights to say what is right, what is wrong. Now, you know me, I always talk about China, how I don't. This would turn us into China, where the government can sit there and determine what is right and what is wrong. Yeah. That is not for our government to determine. That's for us as individuals. We're supposed to be free, fam, no?
Yeah, but we haven't been for a long time. I mean, that's the thing. They're just going to keep sneaking in legislation. They are, really going on destroying habeas corpus right now as we speak. And so this is yet another tool that this fascist oligarchy uses. I'm not using that word lightly. I mean, this is what we are right now. This is it. And this is how they do, because they have already started doing it on Twitter. They've been continuously canceling and suppressing leftist sort of people who speak against the cybersecurity, who speak for Julian Assange, who speak, that type of anti-imperialist language. And they have been suppressing those on Facebook too. If you say anything against, like saying, I saw Keith Anthony called somebody an ass or something really dumb. And they literally showed a notification saying, hey, this comment does not follow our community standards. Even when you're defending yourself against people that are the actual fascists, Facebook targets you as one, takes your profile down and cancels your entire the years of whatever you've had there, and there's nothing you can do about it. I've seen people appeal and appeal, nothing happens. The same thing with YouTube. They can go in there, shut down channels. Our friend Tina's channel was completely shut down, no explanation whatsoever. And I mean, this is what they can do. We don't just say this because we're like, oh, we're angry, we're not getting subscribed. It's like, this is real.
Yeah.
This is real.
And I want to point out that Slow News Day is on. He did some great work on this. Steve Poikonen with his friend Andrew from Action for Assange. They were the ones who I saw introduce this bill to me about a month ago. And, it's been out there since March. Early March, they've been co-sponsoring this stuff. Can we look at the list of co-sponsors real quick, John? Because I got to point out a couple people as the co-sponsors here, fam. There's some great names. One, Dianne Feinstein. Also, Doug Jones. Remember Doug Jones? We gotta get rid of the rapists. We gotta get rid of in Alabama. Doug Jones was running against Roy Moore.
Yeah.
And they were, you know what I'm saying? He was a judge, and we elected Doug Jones. Why? We just put in a civil liberties destroyer who's going to co-sponsor this bill. And, of course, Dick Durbin's on this bill as well, another Democrat. I mean, we have 5 Democrats co-sponsoring this bill? The Democrats are just as bad. Some of the establishment Democrats are just as bad as the establishment Republicans.
Yep.
It's disgusting. And the sponsor of the bill, Lindsey Graham. Now, this is for I'd say the intelligence community who's really the war machine who really wants this to happen. Yep. So who does Lindsey Graham work for? Well, you just type up Open Secrets, and you'll see it right at the top who Lindsey Graham's #1 contributor is. Take a look. Lockheed Martin. Over $60,000 for the last 5 years. Lockheed Martin is one of the top contributors. There's been a bunch of lawyers who've given him money because I think they want to fight tort reform, and they're pushing Lindsey because Lindsey's one of those guys who wants to be able, like a lot of establishment Democrats, for anybody to get sued at any time. So a lot of lawyers give him money. But Lockheed Martin, defense contractor #1, that's who's buttering his bread, as we should say. Bam.
Wow. Not surprising.
Blackstone in there too, right? I saw it.
Oh, God.
Fam, you got anything else to say on that before I read some Super Chats?
No, go ahead.
All right, so the Super Chats. Johnny, you got anything to say about the Earn It Act? Glory Jones, again, just like IK, y'all like Super Chats. What's IK?
I know.
You know, man.
Okay, boomer.
Okay, I'm almost a boomer over here. I'm a Generation X. Glory, don't do that. Don't put me on blast secretly.
Zoomer to boomer.
Zoomer to boomer. Jenny Marie, thank you for the Super Chat contribution. It is always appreciated. It counts. Any hopes for Jesse Ventura 2020? Yes, there is still a slim hope. Let me just put it out there from what we heard, because I had to wait a couple days, and I heard this firsthand when this was going down, and I have some great inside information. And a lot of people who are pro-Jesse are friends of the CONVO Couch, and they've kind of reached out to us. Now, here's the thing. Jesse Ventura has decided himself not to run. We heard that, he has his wife might be sick, whatnot. If he decides to run, RT is going to cut him loose.
Yeah.
RT is not going to say, hey, we're going to push somebody for president. We have enough shit going on.
Right.
We don't want to be RT pushing Jesse Ventura for their own president. So that would, I think.
Oh my God. Russians put green.
Please
I can just
forget about
now.
it. So if he does go run for president, he will lose his health insurance, his wife's health insurance, and all that's going on. We haven't heard from Jesse's mouth directly, but, he doesn't want to be in a situation where his wife is sick and he's running and he's not with her, and more or less lose also the insurance money that could really be beneficial and helpful and possibly helping his wife survive. So therefore, right now, we're holding on. But once again, if a diagnosis comes back where it's really, really good, you know what I'm saying? Their convention, I believe, is in June.
Yeah.
So it's late June. So there is still a little chance, Jenny Marie. We're keeping a close eye on it. And if, in fact, the green light is given, I think Jesse Ventura is going to get in there and try to get the nomination.
Yeah.
Just like the Libertarian process and the Green Party, their delegate process doesn't really count until their convention. So, in other words, Howie Hawkins has gone around and he's got the most delegates right now over Dario. It's still got to get in the convention. Anything can happen. Just like I think his name, Justin Amash, right?
Mm-hmm.
Libertarian Party. There's a lot of controversy going into that party. I've got inside information that they were shopping for these people all along. They were even shopping to say, hey, Jesse, you got some libertarian views. Come on in here. But Jesse Ventura made it clear the reason why he wants to run as a Green and not a Libertarian is he believes in climate change. He believes in Green New Deal. He doesn't have the libertarian mindset when it comes to that issue. That is why he is not running as a libertarian.
Yeah.
So those progressives out there who go, Jesse Ventura. No, he has evolved. He is completely for a Green New Deal of sorts. Not the Fugazi Green New Deal, but
he would be a candidate that I would be most excited about in the Green Party, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Listen, if Jesse Ventura runs, and you know me, I'm a Tulsi-crat. I love her. She's great. I have my issues right now and stuff like that. But here's the thing. I think Jesse Ventura would be the best candidate overall to run against Donald Trump. If you start checking the tape, this is what we need. Americans love American wrestling.
Well, we need a leftist populist, which is what he would be to fight the right
language, the going after the it seems like it's no surprise to me that a question would come from a guy from Fox News. He hates both parties, and he's attacked people, he's fought with them. He made a guy from Fox walk off the set when he goes, I'm questioning 9/11. You say what the hell you want. It pisses you off? Take a walk, pal. But we're going to question everything the government does because they've lied to us time and time before. The Gulf of Tonkin, he always talks about it's one of his biggest things because it lied his generation to go fight a war that was all based upon lies. So,
exactly.
Jesse would be great. Bam. Let's go. Oh, I also put down, I wanted you, before we get to this next part, don't forget about what Thomas Massey warned us about. And I just got to put that tweet up there. Remember, the stimulus package just passed, the biggest wealth transfer from common folks like us to the super rich Wall Street and bankers in history of mankind. Done in the name of $1,200 checks as a cheese in the trap. This will be obvious in short order. Why is it Thomas Massey, a libertarian Republican, speaking for us when it comes to this shit?
Yeah.
Okay? Why? You know what I'm saying? They didn't wipe out student debt. They didn't do that stuff. And let me tell you something. I'm not 100% believing of, okay, we should just wipe out student debt. We wipe out student debt, but we also have to fix the whole problem so it doesn't reoccur. What's going on? There's a systemic problem within our schooling and our universities, which we have to fix. But nobody's out there fighting for the younger generation. They gave all this money to Wall Street, and they're going to take away all your belongings. Houses, I'm guesstimating from what I read, about 1/3 of the houses might be repossessed by the banks within a year because they screwed us. And nobody's looking out for us. No Democrats. They're pulling all these dramatics now, the squad, after it's too late.
Yeah.
They passed over, they passed these bills, and and nobody called out Nancy Pelosi for doing what she did.
No, they refused to call out Nancy Pelosi, and that's the whole problem, right? They refused to call out Nancy Pelosi. And now they've all unified and decided that we're going to vote. Everybody has to vote for Joe Biden. So I'm just going to mention that Hillary Clinton, of course, decided to have a fundraiser for Joe Biden. And in the middle of a pandemic, while we are at 14.7% of unemployment, she decided that she was going to charge $2,800 a person, at the very least, for a Zoom chat, you guys. And of course, nothing makes Americans want to vote for Joe Biden more than Hillary Clinton, number one, getting involved and also trying to profit off through the Hillary Victory Fund to fundraise money for Joe Biden. And of course, there's only a limited amount of tickets for $2,800. The majority of them are for $5,600, I believe, and they just go up from there. Look at how much you have to pay to be a champion. If you're a champion, $50,000 if you're a champion. A supporter, $4,100. A friend, $1,500. $15,600. A guest, $5,600. And of course, $100,000 if you're gonna be a host. It's ridiculous. It's an hour via Zoom. An hour via Zoom. So this is what we have relegated the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party that says they're the party of the working class. The Democratic Party that wants you to vote for Joe Biden because Donald Trump is such a big problem and he's terrible. This is what they're doing. They're such a joke. They are literally the joke that keeps on giving. They continuously give ammo for the Republican Party to go and literally laugh in their face, and they're right to do so. And this is how you push people away from your party and you funnel them into the right. At the end of the day, we've seen, as we've discussed before, a lot of these people end up voting the same. So what does it matter? I mean, this makes him look worse than Donald Trump. It's disgusting. We're in the middle of a pandemic. People are losing their homes. People are losing their jobs. They're out of work. They're lining up to get groceries from organizations that are giving them food. And you're going to go charge a ridiculous amount of money. $1,200 is the payment that people just got. And you're going to charge $2,800 for a Zoom chat?
Yeah.
Oh my
God. Just shows you, once again, look who, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to eat the fucking rich over here. Do you see this shit going on? This happened the whole time, this whole weekend. We saw this as Obamagate was going on, as we saw with the nefarious actions and what they did to General Flynn, okay? And I said this the other day when I was on Nico's show. Little big man was on there. We were arguing the whole time and stuff. And I told him plain and simple that the Democratic establishment is one of the most dangerous things on this planet. They have their meat hooks in Hollywood more than anybody. They have their meat hooks in our Justice Department and the Intelligence Department. They have their meat hooks everywhere, and they don't care. They don't care about the little guy. They'll do what they want to do, and they'll suffocate you. And this just explains everything. Look at the money that they are at, the nerve, the fucking balls to do something like this. And yet people like Elizabeth Warren's going around with Hillary Clinton like it's okay, waving. That's why I cut her off all the way. When are you people going to learn? These people got to go. The Democratic Party's got to go. Somebody said to me today, fam, they said, I hope Fiorella is still going through her quest to destroy the Democratic Party because it can pick up some momentum. When we see shit like this, and this is who's been running the party, the Clintons, the Obamas. Oh, God, Bernie, why did you try to run in this freaking Democratic Party? I wish you would have left.
So,
along
the lines of Hillary Clinton and the Biden and how everybody's lined up to support Joe Biden, even people like Fiorella Isabel, AOC, every single progressive you can think of, Barbara Lee, Bernie Sanders, all these people, they're all just saying you need to vote for Joe Biden. My problem with that is that we're not getting anything out of it. They have zero leverage to even say that they're going to get anything out of it, right? So Max Blumenthal and Ben Norton did a really great video that I'm going to actually break down in a different video because it would take forever. But I just want to mention it because there's this co-option of the left that's been going on. And you guys have noticed how I've been talking to ex-staffers and ex-volunteers and organizers for Bernie Sanders and how they talked about how the campaign was corrupt from the inside and how the establishment is now selecting delegates for Bernie and all of these things. And so along the lines, they did this video outlining how the, quote, Brooklyn left basically helped destroy the Bernie Sanders campaign because, and Nico and I kind of addressed a little bit of this, where they were Bernie cheerleaders and that's all they did. They refused to constructively criticize the campaign. They refused to call out Bernie on his foreign policy blunders, okay? And anybody that deviated from that, us, they would accuse as grifters, tankies, not real socialists, right-wing, like sympathizers. And the Gray Zone has done a lot of great reporting. And in this video, they go to several of their articles and they mention how Jacobin, who I've largely been critiquing. A few videos ago, I did a whole video on how like they were trying to talk people out of voting for a third party. And but in a very devious way. Jacobin, Current Affairs, a few of these very like popular progressive lefty medias. And also he mentions TYT and Experian, Michael Brooks. They both talk about that and how these people have basically are they're like neoliberal progressives because they're still promoting imperialist pro-regime change foreign policy. Yeah. But they're saying, oh, we're DSA, we're this, we're that. But now we're seeing the reality. We're seeing the super PACs come into play. We're seeing the PACs form. We're seeing it all in real time. And we're also seeing a lot of these commentators and leftist media that all their whole job this whole time was to profit off the Bernie Sanders movement. And as soon as that was over, they're like, oh, we have not, like, they you can tell that they have nothing left to talk about because they were just supposed to be Bernie cheerleaders. And they were just supposed to be there to get people to think that everything was fine, that we were going to win with no problem, no sweat, completely not talking about election integrity, completely not talking about corruption within, completely not talking about foreign policy. And it goes deeper than that. So, like, I'm going to be discussing that. But I wanted to mention this right here where according to the NJ.com, they were talking about how should DSA endorse Joe Biden. and it's actually a decent article until you get to the end where they start pretty much promoting that, hey, you know, I do think that the states that are red states or swing states should vote for Joe Biden because we need to stop Donald Trump because of climate change. But here's the thing. Yes, Republicans may be worse regarding climate change than Democrats, but I mean, not necessarily. There's no guarantee Joe Biden is going to stop taking oil lobbyist money or stop fracking. There's no guarantee he's not going to act like Obama did with the Keystone Pipeline. And there's no guarantee that Joe Biden is going to appoint a good judge considering his previous votes for the previous judges. And it's disgusting to me that we're even questioning if a DSA organization should. No, that shouldn't even come into question. And I just think that we have been co-opted by neoliberalism in an effort to kind of promote the Trump derangement syndrome, to combat this overrated Trumpian mythos, because Trump, as we know, is a symptom of the problem, of a much bigger problem. He's not the problem itself. And they're pushing imperialism. They're pushing a new Cold War with China. And you're seeing it more come into fruition with this pandemic, because now it's at an all-time high. You're seeing them pass all of this limitations on your civil liberties and cybersecurity and all of this legislation, because it's all part of the same plan to promote U.S. imperialism. And so a lot of the left completely, and I want to call them left loosely because I don't even know what to call it anymore, because this is not the real, a real socialist would laugh when we're supporting people like, we're not calling people out like AOC, and they go and talk about AOC as well. AOC, who has largely been wrong on foreign policy, who literally has been promoting Joe Biden with her issues with Venezuela. John McCain saying he was the God, what'd she say? She was like, he was the utmost representation of blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's all of these things. And it's not just what she says, it's what she's been doing behind closed doors, and how she has framed herself as an attack dog against the Republican Party, but largely left Nancy Pelosi uncriticized. So what we're seeing here is that, unfortunately, a lot of the AOC people like that of the left are going to become the new neoliberals 10 years down the road. And that's something that's why I've been speaking out against this. And that's why a lot of us have been pointing it out. And I recommend everybody watch that video. It's a video with Ben Norton and Max Blumenthal, where they pretty much break down what happened. It's in two parts with the Bernie campaign, and the other one, what happened, how the co-option of the left and people like AOC are going to be a problem.
Yeah. Did you ever see that new meme out there that says, here's the real Me Too movement? And it says, do you support Joe Biden, AOC? Who supports? I support Joe Biden, AOC. Me too. Jayapal, me too. You know what I'm saying?
And this isn't
Bernie Sanders, me too. This is the Me Too movement.
But we can't even criticize that, because then we're like causing a problem. We're just hating. We don't know, how to appreciate. Like, no, like I'm legitimately like saying, she's an opportunist, is what her actions are telling me. And I don't say this lightly, but I have a feeling more and more things are going to be coming out about her and about a lot of actual corrupt politicians. Is she the worst? No. But that doesn't mean that it's not more dangerous in the long run to keep this completely hidden, because this is, again, how co-option happens time and time again. And
it's so stupid, too, because like I said, other thing, I don't want to sit here and protect Kavanaugh. I don't want to do that. But how can you say that Kavanaugh is so guilty of sin with the amount of little evidence against him? Remember, the whole case was, it was way back when. It was Believe Women. You have Alyssa Milano crying on the decision. And then Joe Biden comes in here where the evidence has legs. They have a time. They have a date. They have a billing. They have people corroborating her story. But yet, no. Don't believe women then.
It's worse. She's a Russian asset.
Oh, God.
She's a Russian agent.
It's just terrible. It really is disgusting and stuff. And it just, they are the definition of hypocrisy, the establishment left, okay? Because they could sit there and say, believe women, protect women, and they're not going to push forward. And once again, what's with them pushing pedophilia like people, Clinton's, the Joe Biden? It really gets disgusting. And once again, you see videos, fam, of Joe Biden being inappropriate. A week can't go by that I won't see a new video of Joe Biden touching a 13-year-old girl or putting his tongue in her ear or whatever, or trying to bite his wife's finger. It's every week there's a new case. It's disgusting, but it's right. The writing's on the wall there. We got to leave. It's walking time. Fam, I hope you keep your promise to burn it down. That's what people want to know. They say, is Fee going to continue a promise to burn it down? And here's Mike Standard with the Super Chat contribution. He says, hey, fam, love you. Here's $5 and cannabis sativa. I'm more cannabis indica.
I'm sativa.
All right. There's another there's a Super Chat from them. Thank you so much. And Patrick S. says, AOC is the new Warren. She's not even Warren.
Yeah.
Okay, she's not even. Warren had a better time in the Senate.
I got some stories, you guys.
I mean, what she did, what AOC does is she just grandstands all the time. You know
it's
what I'm saying?
Worse.
So
it's more disingenuous.
It's pretty bad. Fam?
Johnny,
do you have anything else to say about that before we moved on? All right. Here we go. Guys, you're going to have to educate me on this right here, too, as well. I didn't pay deep attention to what was going on. I saw this. It's another case of just a crazy fucking person doing disgusting acts. It did remind me of a lot of Trayvon Martin stuff. And once again, I don't give a shit what color anybody is in this situation, what religion, ethnicity. If you commit a crime like this, you go to fucking jail. And to say that there was no racism involved is fucking bullshit.
John, take it away.
Alrighty, yeah. So basically, I'm just gonna go about how I first became aware of this, and then of this murder, and then we'll go from there. So basically, by now, I'm sure everybody's heard of the Ahmaud Arbery murder. This is him pictured right here.
Yeah. But break it down exactly what happened so people...
So the murder happened on February 23rd, 2020. An unarmed 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery was jogging through a Georgia neighborhood when he was confronted by 3 men and subsequently murdered. The video was leaked on May 5th. I saw it 4 days ago on the 7th while browsing Instagram. P. Diddy actually had posted the video. So
you have it?
Yeah, let's watch it. Let's watch it. And warning, this is someone getting killed. And it's still up. So there he is running.
Nice jogging pace. Whose camera is that, John?
This is the third man. I'm going to explain that in a little bit. So there you go.
Wow.
That's the video, and
that to me seems like cold-blooded murder. Almost like a modern-day lynching. I'm not even exaggerating.
It was disgusting. You know, they chased him down like in an animal. So let's talk about what we know in the aftermath of this video being released. There are 2 men in the video who shot Ahmaud, and 1 man who was filming. As of today, only the 2 men in the video have been arrested. They got arrested on May 7th. Their names are, we can see the man on the left is former police officer Gregory McMichael, and the man on the right is his son, Travis McMichael. They were arrested and charged with murder 2 months after the murder happened, only after a massive outcry by the public and the video being leaked. And there's reports that the police saw the video before, but I don't know. You know, there was a massive outcry. Here's some footage of a protest in Brunswick. It says, I don't know, it says Brunswick, Jacksonville, so it was kind of confusing where this was, but, you know, there's people protesting. The third man who filmed the murder has not been arrested yet. So if we look at this guy, Lee Merritt, there's a third suspect in the murder of Ahmaud Arbery, still free. William Bryant claims he was unarmed and just trying to get a photo of a trespasser. He's lying. He's an armed accomplice. I've had experts review the video, see how the screen dips as you hear him cock his weapon. So let's watch this part.
Oh yeah.
You can hear the cock there. There was a cock like right here.
Yeah, I heard it. Wow.
All right. So John, break this down for me. Like, what was their excuse? What did they say? These men, they said that there was an armed robbery or a robbery of sorts, and they were kind of.
Yeah.
I didn't look at the police report directly, but I saw from tweets and everything that they said that. Well, here's what it says in the police report. It says, sorry, William Bryant, your racist friend Gregory McMichael already ratted you out. He told police you attempted to block Ahmaud with your truck but was unsuccessful. You are a willing participant in the ambush that resulted in the death of an armed man black jogger. So I guess this is a statement that was made by Gregory McMichael, the retired policeman. Upon my arrival, I observed Officer Minshew setting up a perimeter. I began speaking with Gregory McMichael, who was a witness to the incident. McMichael stated there had been several break-ins in the neighborhood, and further, the suspect was caught on surveillance video. McMichael stated he was in his front yard and saw the suspect from the break-ins hauling ass down Satilla Drive toward Burford Drive. McMichael stated that he then ran inside his house and called to Travis and said, "Travis, the guy is running down the street. Let's go." McMichael stated that he went to his bedroom, grabbed his .357 Magnum, and Travis grabbed his shotgun. They didn't know if the male was armed or not. McMichael stated the other night they saw the same male and he stuck his hand down his pants, which led them to believe the male was armed. He stated that he got into the truck, drove down Satilla Drive toward Burford Drive. McMichael stated that when they arrived at the intersection of Satilla, they saw the unidentified male running. They drove down Burford, attempted to cut off the male. I think that's what we saw in the video. Yep. They tried to cut him off. McMichael stated the unidentified male turned around and began running back the direction from which he came, and Roddy attempted to block him, which was unsuccessful. So that was the man filming.
Yeah.
That's a crock of shit.
Yeah. Well, also, just I don't know if you're going to talk about it, but just like they were saying, there was a video that came out that he was at a construction site.
Yeah. I have that also. So, Sean King exposed who the third man was. So we saw that the first two men was a former police officer, and then a lot of people keep saying I have three suspects. This is again Mr. Lee Merritt. Thanks, Sean King. Arrest all three of these men who conspired to murder. This is the gentleman who was filming. Sean King, here's what he said. William Roddy Bryant, an accessory to murder. This is the man who filmed the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. Not only that, he was involved from the beginning. As you will see on my page, he told police that he chased Ahmaud. He lives just 1 block away from Travis and Gregory. We caught Roddy in a lie, though. He told police he jumped into the back of the pickup truck to chase Ahmaud down, but admitted to police he filmed the murder. The man who filmed the murder was in his own car, also cocking his own gun. Roddy clearly lied. We know this because some kind soul leaked Roddy's video to us. So,
what proof did they have that this guy tried to rob something? Is there? They said there was a video or something, John, or is that what they were claiming?
Yes. So there were videos that came out. Let me see. That's a little bit more ahead. So on May 9th, there was a video that emerged that's security video outside of the construction home. The Georgia Bureau of Investigations is reviewing this video and the investigation of the death of Ahmaud Arbery. So there he is. There's Ahmaud. A man believed to be Arbery walking in and around a home under construction just minutes before he was shot and killed. So he walks into that house, and we're going to show you what the house looks like in a second, because the new footage also came out today, I believe.
Yeah, and they said that it was the latest news is that it was a 3-minute. He was there like 3 minutes, and all he did was like look and like get back out.
Yeah.
What house was that? Was that just a construction house, or?
It's a construction.
It's a house under construction.
So he was like, oh, let me look at the house under construction. Maybe it's for sale, or because I mean, first of all, let me just say this much too: if you're gonna be trying to rob something, you're not jogging down the street casually. You're dipping in and out of those trees and those bushes, and you're hiding.
Right.
This guy was jogging down the middle of the street in the middle of daylight. Get the F out of here. Sorry to interrupt you, Johnny. Go ahead, brother.
It says an unidentified figure enters the upper left frame. It's unclear what he's doing, but police report says a neighbor called 911 about this time to report someone had entered the house under construction, noting it was open. So there's a guy up here, if you see. So he's kind of looking at Ahmaud in the house. And then there's a car. This is sped up footage. A figure emerges from the construction home and runs down Satilla Drive. So he ran out of the house. He was walking before, which was interesting.
Yeah. He looked like he was jogging, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, it looked like he was jogging. It is sped up film.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if he was walking or jogging out of the house. And then if we keep on in the upper left frame, 2 identified figures appear to move near a parked white truck in the vicinity of Travis McMichael's address, and the truck drives down. So it looks like they got they're all on film here.
Yeah.
You can see the man up there. I think that was the neighbor that called the police, and then yes. So there's a little bit more. Hold on, where is it?
I see zero justification.
A police cruiser drives by the construction site. So so police responded to the 911 call.
Right.
Right. Oh, so he was in there.
No, he wasn't. He just drove by the construction site.
The police cruiser.
Yeah. So they responded to the 911 call.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like, and then kept going down the road. I guess that's probably where they see what happens, actually. So that's weird that no one was arrested.
Right.
Another police cruiser races down Satilla Drive.
Right.
So
where was the police
when
that was happening?
Yeah. Okay.
That's another.
So that means they did arrive to the scene. Yeah. Okay. So we got that video.
Shit.
We got that video. And then I guess they also had a camera in the house itself, and this came out today.
Yep.
It looks like.
You got it?
Yeah. So there's Ahmaud.
So he's just kind of looking around.
Like, what's he gonna steal?
I mean, well, the thing is, if he was going to steal stuff, he'd be stealing materials and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he didn't do that, did he? He was just kind of like looking around.
He just walked out.
That and like still, even if he were stealing stuff, you have due process. You have a law. Like you don't just go around.
Yeah.
Even if you want to say that this guy was like the worst person, he had the worst intentions.
Yes.
Should he die?
Yes.
No,
not at all.
Exactly.
No. I think that's when you think about the Trayvon Martin case, right?
Yeah.
The thing about me was like, okay, whether it be racism, whether it be hatred, whatever the case may be, the dispatcher told what was his name, Zimmerman. Don't follow him. Don't go after him. We got it.
Yeah.
He went after. He followed me. Killed him. So no matter what, to me, at the very least, that is fucking manslaughter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People shouldn't be taking anything into their own hands. You know what I'm saying? In any situation.
This seems worse to me, to be honest. It seems like premeditated murder. Like, if I were a lawyer, I would actually argue for first degree because they planned this. They saw him. They decided that he was the guy. They brought arms. They coordinated with a third person, and then they shot him in cold blood with zero evidence of, I mean, like, they thought they had evidence in their minds, but they're not policemen. They're not people like that should even be doing this. This is like people taking arms against a person and executing them just because they feel like they're wrong. And so that, to me, I would argue, if I were an attorney, first degree, actually, more than manslaughter. They actually have a case to argue first degree.
Listen, I agree. Same thing with Trayvon Martin. You argue for first degree murder.
Agree, yeah.
But at the very least, sorry, someone's dead. You get manslaughter no matter what. The bottom line is you're not supposed to take the law into your other hands. So if you want to move away all the hogwash, whether it was racially motivated, whether it wasn't racially motivated, should it be a hate crime? It doesn't make a difference. Somebody died. The very least, motherfucker, you got manslaughter. At the very least, Zimmerman should be sitting in a fucking jail, prison, because of manslaughter at the very least. I think he should got first degree murder too, fam. Because he was told, and he even said these hoodlums. So I believe it was racially motivated. He should go to jail for first degree murder. But at the very least, our fucking system dictates you should go to jail for at least manslaughter because somebody fucking died. They'll do that to a poor person. You know what I'm saying? They do it all the time to like gang members who get in fights or poor people. It's like, hey man, I defended. Oh well, sorry, somebody died. Jail for manslaughter. And Florida and Georgia have these laws, John, where they make it legal to kill.
Stand your ground. Yep. Okay. So here's where it gets interesting. Today.
Wow. What do we got?
Armed Black Panther Party members showed up in the neighborhood of the men who chased down a 25-year-old black jogger, called Ahmaud Arbery, and murdered him on the street in broad daylight. The Black Panthers joined Arbery's family on a walk for justice in Arbery's memory.
Wow.
So you can see they're armed and they're walking the streets. It's very, very interesting that this is happening. Hold on, let me finish.
Yeah.
Here's
They would have shot me if I was running through their goddamn neighborhood.
Say it again, bro.
Hell motherfucking no, they would have shot a goddamn person.
Say it again, bro. Say it again, bro.
I said, you think they would have shot me if I was running through their goddamn neighborhood? Well, I'm gonna give them an opportunity.
There it is.
It says Black Panthers team of Black Motorcycle Club riders protesting Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah.
So there's the Black Motorcycle Club. Okay, let me keep going. Okay, so
love it.
And so today it also appears that the Justice Department is weighing hate crime charges in death of Ahmaud Arbery. Okay, so when I first saw the video, the first thing I did was read the comment, P. Diddy's comment here, and it says that he was running in his neighborhood and was chased down and murdered, and no arrests have been made. That was before the arrests were made. And then he put runwithmod.com. So I was like, oh, runwithmod.com. What is that? So I go to runwithmod.com, and you see, let's take a look at it. This is Ahmaud Arbery. He was out for a jog when he was chased down, shot, and killed by 2 white supremacists. We must demand the justice he deserves. Ahmaud Arbery was only 25 years old, a fit athlete jogging near his home on a Sunday afternoon in Brunswick, Georgia, when 2 white supremacists saw him, got their guns, got in a truck, chased him down, pulled up next to him, shot him at least 2 times, and killed him right there on the spot. He was unarmed, broke no laws. That's all correct. He was unarmed, broke no laws, did nothing wrong. He was only 25. Detectives were former police officer. Yep. And so he deserves justice. I'm just looking through it. Let's help get justice. And here's some pictures. Family man, looks good. Paid for by the Action Pack. TheActionPack.com, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. You guys are suspect when there's PACs involved.
Yeah, for
correct?
Sure.
Yeah, because
I'm
once again, too,
suspects.
it's here the thing. The thing is, I think they're pushing the fact that they're saying that he was the guys are white supremacists. Has that been proved yet, John, or is that kind of like we're just going to assume that because they're 2 country hicks that with guns? I mean, have they proved that?
Yeah, I mean, if we could find like a picture of them supporting. I mean,
KKK?
for me, it does seem like a hate crime.
It does.
But
no, I mean, he shouldn't have been murdered at all.
Yeah.
Like they should have called the police. They shouldn't have taken matters into their own hands.
Yeah.
So
I'm even against them calling the police. I mean, I feel like if there was a white man looking at a construction site, they wouldn't have blinked twice.
Right.
I'm really gonna say that.
I'm for them calling the police and taking matters into their own hands. If I can have both, I'd leave it be and not even call anything. But if I had to choose between the two, I'd rather them call the cops and stay the fuck out of it. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what can happen there? Our cops, we
Georgia
can't trust our
cops
cops.
are some of the worst.
Probably, if not the worst. I've heard so many bad stories about Georgia cops. Not all of them, of course, but once again. So, I mean, and these guys were former cops.
So I wanted to see what the Action Pack was, because it's interesting that what it is. And Open Secrets, it says this committee is a so-called carry committee, a hybrid PAC / super PAC. And I just kind of want to quell people's doubts about it. Contributions to this PAC from individual donors $200 or more is $630. So most of their contributions came from donors of $200 or more. Okay, I thought it was $200 or less when I first read that.
It's the other way.
Okay, so
it's big. It's big.
It was
money
like
people.
$300. It was. I was looking through some of the receipts. It was like $300 or something like that.
Yeah.
So the treasurer. It was the treasurer's Lee Merritt, and that is the lawyer for the Ahmaud Arbery family.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I wanted to show also. So here's the on FEC also. You can see the Action Pack. It's in San Francisco, California. Treasurer is Lee Merritt. He's the lawyer, so maybe he has his own PAC. But yeah, if you look up his name on Twitter, he's been on MSNBC. He's been on a bunch of shows here. He's been on TMZ. He's been on MSNBC, CBS. I mean, there's a bunch of places he's been on. So the only reason I wanted to bring this up was because I'm not sure who formed the PAC, and they could have the same name or not. It looks like it's the same person. Interesting that the PAC is located in San Francisco. If you go to the address, I looked it up on Google Maps. It's a P.O. box, which is a smart thing to do in general. I highly recommend that instead of putting your own address or even business address, because there's crazy motherfuckers out there. Point in showing that it's interesting that there's a PAC for. I'm not saying it's a bad PAC. I just want to show the facts. And conservatives / people who might have like their color blinders on are saying stupid shit like this.
Yeah.
I'm saying be careful about the just a jogger narrative that is already fossilized in the public square because it was planted there and dug in there by people who have financial and ideological incentives to whip up hysteria and hatred against white people and police officers or former police officers, and certainly any citizen who chooses to exercise their Second Amendment rights to defend their homes and defend their neighborhoods.
So
Shaun King
go around shooting people.
Is college buddies, best friends for the last 20 years with Lee Merritt. They went to school together at Morehouse College.
Yeah, and then she goes to smear Shaun King. Okay, but she did say something that was true, that the narrative is suspect. That's the only thing I'm saying that I think is to the narrative, right? That's the only thing that she but she makes it seem like she's trying to justify the murder, which is completely wrong. You know, bottom line, like
they're not justified in doing.
They're not, absolutely not. They're not justified.
Nobody would be.
And it looks like we're going to keep getting more and more updates. But here's the bottom line. I never trust the mainstream media, and they've been covering this murder like no other. To me, first of all, Ahmaud Arbery should not have been murdered. The men in the video should not have taken the law into their own hands. They should have called the police. And in a perfect world, the police would at most only tase him and not kill him. The media has been blowing this up to create a certain type of narrative. I think so. Now it's coming out that the Black Panthers are out there with guns. Do you know what that is? This is the elites pitting us against each other. Mm-hmm. Yes, there is racism. Yes, the men should face life in jail. But we must pay attention as to why the media is covering this so well when they don't do the same in other cases.
Correct.
Steph Rich.
Got your coffee, buddy.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's the media. This is your part.
Yeah. Me?
And Fee, I think you wrote this part.
Oh, let me put that up there for you, Fee.
What?
Oh, no, I wrote this part. Yeah. Again, I think it's the media's, therefore, elite's goal to refuel black against white, white against black narrative, particularly during a pandemic, in order to divide us in these uncertain times where people are planning on doing a general strike and such, and to put the focus on our differences rather than the similar struggle we all have right now under capitalism failing our society.
Right.
So,
Johnny, that was so well written.
I can agree. I can agree with that, Johnny. I just also think we can't forget that there is a huge racial element right now in our country, in our history. And we haven't really grappled that. I mean, if you look like 40 years ago, we were still dealing with this. You know what I mean? Brown versus Board of Education wasn't that long ago, you guys. This is still a really young country that has a lot of racial issues that have never been tied. But the thing to note that I think he's getting to was that Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, Martin Luther King Jr., as soon as they started talking about how the working class made up of white, Latino, black, Asian, etc., of all these people were continuously pitted against each other. The indentured servants, the white, poor working class, were made to feel better by being able to pick on the slaves. And so to feel more powerful. Oh, these people are taking your jobs. The same thing keeps happening over and over and over again. And if we don't include the discussion that this isn't just, we do have racial issues, but it's not just racial issues. It is also working class economic issues, because I think we put it in there, Johnny, Joe Biden's niece stole $110,000 from a private business. And there she is, alive and well, and she got a pat on the wrist. She's not even getting jail time, a slap on the wrist. She's getting absolutely no jail time.
2 years probation.
Yeah, she's. I mean, nothing. And exactly. And of course she has the finances to repay that. But think a person that's a working class, I would never have the finances to repay that. Are you kidding me? And so that would go on your record, and then you'd have to go to jail, and then all this stuff. And so what we're seeing is there's obviously, it's not just a racial divide. There's also the bigger divide is the class. Yes. And they're using, the oligarchs always use this to put us against each other. And the moment people like Malcolm X and MLK started talking about how we need to unite to fight against the real culprits of the capitalist oligarchs, were the moments where these people got killed.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, I think what Johnny put over there was so just well put. You know what I'm saying? If anybody sits there and kind of denies the fact that racism is all over and thinks it's all said and done, that's kind of a stupid comment. It does exist. The ways to fix it, I mean, we all in disagreement. The whole world don't know how to fix it. I believe we fix it through strong education. You know, make education affordable, make it good, make it equal in the parts. You know what I'm saying? Give us good education throughout. Economy, fix the economy. All right. If we're not at war for resources in a crony capitalist system, we're gonna love each other more. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm so tied to food, because I believe food, when we sit down, we break bread together, that's when we come together. And yes, the elites again, they want to exploit these situations, make them more about black and white than anything else. When it comes to Trayvon Martin, when it comes to this situation, I'm not going to bring the racial thing into it, except maybe at the very core to see if it was premeditated murder. At the end of the day, they killed somebody. They took the law into their own hands. I don't give a shit if they're the son of Joe Biden. Yeah. You go to fucking jail. Yeah. End of story. And that's the way we can end. If our justice system was just, and if our justice system wasn't racial, and our justice system is racial because it's all based upon economics. We have for-profit prisons. Those people talk to who? The judges. They talk to the lobbyists to make sure that they fill those beds in those prisons. And in those areas that are very mixed, they get away with putting people of color in those beds. And it's a total fucking systemic racist system, and they get away with it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's so much that comes into play, you know, when it comes to this situation. But once again, I think it is a tactic to divide us against each other. We are talking about general strike. We are talking about joining hands. We are talking about coming together. And what do? Let's pit black against white, and they're going to exploit that. Yeah. The situation when it comes to merit, when it comes to Sean King, I think Sean King sometimes exploits that situation and stuff, but he's great at bringing that stuff out. But it is food for thought. There's so many avenues we have to think about this. Yeah. We can't deny that there is a serious racial problem in this country. How do we really
especially and coming from Sean King, who is a black person, I know I'm not going to sit there and say his experience is not valid because I'm not a black person. And, you know, I think that we can't, like, in our effort to talk about how we are pitted against each other, we can't dismiss, like, their experiences. And I think it's important to always consider what someone like that and, you know, like what people of that race have experienced. And there's no doubt to me in my mind that had that person been a white individual, this wouldn't have happened. So I believe nobody's trying to make this. I think some people are trying to make this racial, but I think at its core, it is actually racial.
What if it was just a poor, scummy white kid from another neighborhood driving over there and they say, oh, they're son of a bitch, let's go get him. We don't know that for a fact. That's something we can only project and say what's going on. The bottom line is that if he killed somebody,
because it doesn't happen though, Pasa.
It does happen, and it happens often. It's not reported and exploited on the TV. I can show you a picture of a young white kid in Fresno getting lit up like a Christmas tree, and nobody paid attention to it. He was a poor kid with a big truck. They thought he was robbing something. He wasn't doing anything. They lit him up like a Christmas tree. It does happen.
Do we have any statistics? Because I don't think it happens as often as a black. Okay, so this would be something to discuss later on, because I mean, I from what I've read, the statistics are definitely vastly different when it comes to race, as to who gets targeted by law enforcement and by citizen people who want to take the law into their own hands. So I definitely think I disagree there. I think there's definitely racial disparity into who gets targeted. I don't think it's on the same level.
Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I mean, at the same time, my personal opinion is that a crime is a crime. And I understand we want to look at the motivation sometimes to not let it happen. And that's why we always talk about the economic reasons. We talk about the education because we want to strengthen, race relations. And I always believe that strengthening the economic relations the economic situation would help racial tensions, because therefore we won't be at a struggle for resources and pitted against each other. Because uneducated people across this country, especially uneducated white people, they're going to start blaming black people for the lack of their resources they have sometimes, and they're going to point the finger.
They blame immigrants right now.
They blame people who don't look like them when they're starving for resources. Why am I sleeping in my car? Why are my kids don't have a college fund? Oh, because that person out there across the street, the immigrant, we give them our tax dollars. Oh, we give the African-American male, we give him college, but when my kid can't get it, and therefore we're pitted against each other. Right. So more than anything, I think we're pitted against each other. But believe you me, at the end of the day, a crime is a crime, whether who did it. Zimmerman should be sitting in Zimmerman, I think, was so bad because, once again, he said that these hoods, I can't stand these hoodlums coming around. It was like, whoa, you just racially motivated yourself to go. You proved it and stuff. And once again, the dispatcher told him, do not follow him. Leave him alone. That was a cop. A dispatcher's a cop. So at the very least, if you just treated the law of the land, if you kill somebody, that's manslaughter at the very least. You premeditated, it's murder. Yeah. But I do think it is a lot of tactic that exploit these situations, and they show these situations more than ever to keep us divided. It's a divide and conquer. Yeah. Because let me tell you something. Those fucking fat white assholes with the guns, they're not representing my mindset. I don't care if I share the same color of skin as them. you can go fuck yourself. You have nothing to do with me. You're not fucking, you know what I'm saying? And I think there's a lot of people in this country, we met a lot of them, who want to bring those tensions, those race relationships together and say, come on, let's go. We'll accept responsibility for what our ancestors did it and try to steer the ship right and go do it. But let's do it together. And, let's bring us together, not separate us. So, fam?
Johnny?
I also want to add that community. Building communities, and it's kind of like a change into because everyone's consumed by work, but we also got to build local communities. I think is the dream, the utopia, where we all are in a community locally and we all contribute in some way.
But our communities are still segregated, right? So that's also something that happens.
Yeah. And it's economic relief, communities, and then what was the other economic relief?
Economic relief, education. It's strengthen education.
Absolutely.
A lack of education is done on purpose. George Carlin talked about it. They don't want us knowing. They just want us smart enough to push the brooms and push the buttons on the machines. They don't want us looking at the nuances of situations. You know what I'm saying? Looking at history to see how much we have in common. And I'm talking about poor black and white folk. We have so much more in common than our government calling the shots up top, and that's something we have to understand. And that's why I like football. We played football for a little bit. We understand that, listen, you don't give a shit when you're on that offensive line, white guy, black guy, we work together. We're sitting there doing whatever we have to do. And when you have a locker room kind of atmosphere, it really brings people together because you don't care. All you care about is the guy who's next to you in the trenches in the military, and same thing in sports. So there are some beautiful things about sports that bring people together. People of all races, ethnicities, and whatnot. But we do have a lot of work to do.
Yep. Agreed.
And Jackson Fact says, love you guys so much. Pasta is exactly right on the economic factors involved. When basic needs aren't met, we live in despair, which leads to fear, leading to hate, violence, and self-destruction. If you haven't checked out Jackson Facts, check them on out.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with that. I'm just saying we can't dismiss the racial tensions in this country and all of that while saying that.
Well, the idiots trying to dismiss it are really fucking stupid. Like, there's no race. There's hardcore racism.
Second Amendment. No, it's stupid. It was stupid.
Yeah. And the systemic racism comes in the form, more than anything, of our Justice Department. You know what I'm saying? The way we put people of color in jail, and a lot of white people buy it. You know what I'm saying? Like stupidness.
Right.
And it's done for profit.
Well, just look at marijuana and who gets arrested for that, and who gets to have the shops, that are open and nice, and gets to make it into like, oh yeah, everybody smokes weed. White people. And I mean, you can't deny that. That's how where this country is at. So
yeah, Johnny. We got Roshan. We sent a couple shirts out.
A couple pictures from some of our people. Roshan, like Ocean, wearing our CONVO couch shirt. Thank you, Roshan.
Look at it.
For being excited and wearing it. Yeah. And then we have
my sister,
Janine.
Fam, you got that shirt except with the white writing on, I think.
I think it's the white writing, yeah.
Yeah. The CONVO couch gray. We just sent some shirts out. Carrie Mark, thank you for joining our ROKFIN over there. And Glory Jones, too, as well. If you guys haven't signed up for our ROKFIN, ROKFIN, please do so. There was a little MMA over the weekend, and my friend Tulsi Gabbard liked one of my tweets. Thank you so much. It was great to get sports back. I know some people are like, we're not. But it was great. And guess where it happened, fam?
Where?
Jacksonville, Florida.
Well,
of course. Ron DeSantis okayed it. They couldn't get it done in California. They couldn't get it done in Vegas. Yeah. But they got it done in Florida.
Of course.
There was like no crowd. There was literally like 50 people in the building. They had their all social distance. It was kind of weird watching fights and they're like, no cheering, what's going on? And there were a couple great fights with a loaded card that you were like, man, if the crowd was here, they'd be get into it. But no crowd. They opened up. They started sports. And yeah, that's going on. We know ROKFIN has a lot of MMA fighters on there. Ben Askren, Chael Sonnen's got his own channel. So if you're interested in that, you want to hang out, listen to me and T, talk about MMA, come check our ROKFIN out, fam.
All right.
Anything else?
No. Long
Johnny,
show.
We're good. Long show, but we had to because you were gone. Some things you're going to talk about. You said you're going to do a video breaking down.
Yeah, just the co-option of the left. So look out for that.
Watch out for Fiorella's co-option of the left. I think people want to see Fiorella come like, what's her name? Red Sonja with the big knife. Boom.
Who the hell is Red Sonja?
Red Sonja was a movie about a lady warrior played by Brigitte Nielsen, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was the co-star, and she went crazy with a sword. If you can do what Red Sonja did to the evilness to the Democratic Party, people are going to remember you for a long time. Got anything else?
Nope.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much
guys.
to everybody for your super chat contribution. We always appreciate it. We'll see you back soon for Pasta Jardula.
Fiorella.
Jonny Sue on the 1s and 2s.
Combo out.
Glad you're back, fam.
Peace.
Glad to be back.